Yeah, DMBPF here. I'm gonna touch on incepted ideas and how to fight in the most righteous way. Now, what do I mean by incepted ideas? What is an incepted idea? Now, obviously, you know that when they do NLP on you, they can incept ideas like that. Yeah, and as targeted individuals, if you don't know about NLP, it's neuro language programming. There's so many things which we do when we interact with each other that amount to NLP, but sometimes these are things we do subconsciously and we don't notice it. Yeah, it's NLP is as simple as saying, look, if you want to get someone to scratch their nose, you wait until they're in a conversation with someone, and every time they look over to you, you do that. Eventually they'll start doing that subconsciously. That's an incepted idea, but that's not an incepted idea that comes into your consciousness until you notice that you're doing that, and then you start asking yourself, why am I doing that? And then you look around in your surroundings and you see someone doing you. That's how you notice NLP is taking place. That's just an example. So you can obviously transpose that example to different situations that you find yourselves in. Now, that's not the incepted ideas, the type of ideas I'm talking about here. We're talking about something deeper than that. We're talking about where you feel and sense people projecting speech into your mind. They're incepting the ideas through the words and the speech that they're using. Yeah. Now, it depends. That will not be a problem if they didn't have a feedback. If they just planted an idea in your head and waited for you to go crazy and then pick you up at the psychiatrist, that is not your worst nightmare. Trust me. I've been through that. It gets worse, but then it gets better. Yeah. So I've been through that scenario where they used the voice of God weapon on me, and even just today somebody just said, stop doing that. In my head it just says, stop doing that. Now, I was buying a bottle of water, yeah, because they've even contaminated that, but let me not veer off subject. So I was buying, because our world water supplies are full of toxins, nuclear waste. The world's going to the dogs. Let me not go into that. So anyway, back to the subject. So I was buying my water, then all of a sudden I hear, stop doing that, in my head. But this sounded like a voice of God technology. It sounded like somebody who wasn't actually seeing in my mind, but somebody who was actually, it sounded like something that was projected into my mind rather than something that was emanating from my mind as a result of another consciousness being in my mind. That's how I know it's the difference between a voice to scar weapon and an unnatural viewing of your mind, where somebody's consciousness is incident within your consciousness, and they can see your consciousness imagine your consciousness being like a studio, yeah, and somebody comes into that studio and starts to look around. Yeah, it didn't feel like that type of voice. Starts to look around, then says stop doing that. It didn't feel like that. This felt like somebody who didn't know what was inside. That's how I know the difference between a voice to scar weapon and an unnatural demonic weapon that is being used to see. A demon is a consciousness that's within your consciousness. A demon is a consciousness that intrudes into your consciousness and starts to look around like he's in a shopping mall, or like he's in a studio seeing what everything is in there. That's what a demon is. and he's conscious of himself and he knows what he's seeing, and sometimes he can see something he doesn't like and say, oh no, stop putting that there, stop thinking about that, stop it. Yeah, like he actually know. This sounded like just somebody who's just fishing. Just said stop doing that. Now when I had the onset of what I suspected was mental illness, but turns out that it wasn't really. It might have been, but because I learned how to cope, it doesn't appear to have been mental illness. Mental illness was supposed to be the result that they wanted, but it became the result, but there was something additional as well. I became an empath. I had the ability to sense when it's happening for real. So those people who use voice to scar weapons, they want everyone to believe that it's just the electronic. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It happens, and I'm a victim of it. But the electronic, that's not the worst thing. The electronic perp is not the worst thing that could happen to you, trust me. The demonic ones. Now there was a comment from one of my viewers regarding the same type of monitoring, demonic monitoring, yeah, that touched on the incepted ideas that trigger them, yeah, that the viewer suspects was coming from someone who's actually putting their consciousness within theirs. Yeah, so my viewer actually was wanting me to talk about that, so I'm going to touch on that. So that's the type of incepted idea I mean. Somebody coming into your mind, like you go into a studio and looking around and making comments about what they see. Yeah, that is the incepted idea. So as he's making the comments, his words are affecting your feelings, and if they're affecting your feelings, they're affecting your hormones. If they're affecting your hormones, they're harmful to your health. They can trigger off adrenaline. Yeah, adrenaline can poison your body if it's left unused, and when that if it's left unused, it can affect your, as a man, testosterone, I suppose, and your serotonin. When your serotonin is reduced, that's where depression and psychosis comes from. That is somebody who's trying to drive you to that. But when it's somebody who's seeing into your mind physically, yeah, you have to mind how you feel about their presence in your mind. Now this is the talk. Yeah, you have to watch yourself and how you feel, yeah, about what they're doing in your mind. Keep yourself calm and balanced, yeah, to avoid becoming mentally ill, inadvertently making yourself mentally ill. Yeah, those demonic perps do not understand that when they start to comment on what they see in your mind, yeah, it affects your feelings and hormonal balances. Yeah, if they do understand, then that's a satanic perp. That's somebody who understands that they're trying to do you harm, and they'll be saying things strategically when they're in your mind to actually bring about that mental illness. So mind how you feel about what's transpiring. You must be like a soldier. I keep telling you, every man must be a general. You must be like a soldier, no feelings. Just observe someone seeing into your mind and treat them like an intruder in your mind, because that's mental rape, as you know. Yeah, an intruder in your mind, somebody you want to eject from your mind as soon as possible, and you do everything in your power. Because remember, if somebody walks into your mind like somebody's walking into a studio, you are the studio, you are the system. Yeah, you can switch the lights off. You decide what you think. If you find that they're obsessed with telling you stop doing that, yeah, in your mind, and they're in there, then you do that just to annoy them. You start playing with them, because you are essentially, if somebody walks into your mind like you're walking into a studio, it's like they're walking into your world. It's like they're walking into creation that is you. In there, you're the Almighty. So you can choose to imagine dinosaurs or dragons to scare the crap out of them. It's not funny, but you can choose to imagine things like that, things that will make it so uncomfortable for them that they get so scared and they piss off. Yeah, That's how you do with those incepted ideas. If somebody makes you think, let's say you have a baby or something, and somebody makes you think, oh, God comes into your mind and starts saying, we're going to rape your baby, yeah, and then you have to watch how you're feeling about that, yeah. If somebody says that in my mind, I could start imagining scenes out of Nightmare on Elm Street, and I start to imagine me holding a saw and chopping people, or me doing something really, really scary or gory or unpleasant, and I just concentrate on imagining that. Yeah, if it's intrusive targeting, but would you if somebody comes into your universe, you can do it. Look, right now I can close my eyes and imagine a dinosaur. I saw it on TV, so I know what it looks like, yeah, and I can just concentrate on imagining a dinosaur. I'm concentrating on it ripping up flesh, yeah, and just concentrate on just run a play. It's your studio, you run a play. Yeah, so basically anything that goes on in your mind, you are the almighty in your mind. You shouldn't let anybody make you feel something when they're in your mind. If they're in your mind, you must make them feel. You dictate what feeling is. Yeah, you must make them imagine things that will antagonize them. Listen to my new tune, antagonizing me. Yeah, imagine something that would antagonize them, and then monitor how they're feeling about it from what they're saying. Yeah, if you understand that they're in your mind seeing, you must understand how to see how they're feeling, and then you start monitoring them. Then you start doing experiments from them as they're doing you. I'm doing them as they're doing me. They can't say nothing. When you do someone in the act, they can't say nothing, because you're defending your mind. I mean, you're in the process of intruding on my mind. You've hacked into my mind, and I'm in the process of defending it, and that's my defense. Yeah, to harass anyone who's in my mind and to the fuck off from there. That's what I wanted to say.